Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to our Camnet Midday News. My name is Amazing Katamanda. Let's take a look at the stories that are making the headlines. The AntiCorruption Commission rearrests BOWMAN LUSAMBO. Journalists celebrate World Press Freedom Day.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the...
She has so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Thank you for staying with us, and now the news in detail. The Anti-Corruption Commission ACC has rearrested embattled Kabushi Member of Parliament, BOWMAN LUSAMBO, and slapped him with 3 fresh charges of attempting to interfere with witness. Mr. LUSAMBO was immediately arrested Tuesday morning at the Lusaka Magistrate Court shortly after his corruption case was adjourned. And speaking to the media, Mr. LUSAMBO said his arrest will not end the poverty, hunger, and unemployment Zambians are facing.
Minutes after his alleged corruption case was adjourned to the 17th of May 2022, embattled Kabushi Member of Parliament BOWMAN LUSAMBO spent close to 30 minutes inside the courtroom, fearing of being rearrested by officers from the Anti-Corruption Commission who were patiently waiting for him outside this courtroom. But after spending those minutes hoping that the officers would change their mind and not effect the warrant of arrest, Mr. LUSAMBO seemed to have gathered his courage and faced the officers, who immediately pounced on him. He was arrested at the Lusaka's Magistrate Court Tuesday morning, where he was appearing for a mention in a case he is jointly charged with his wife with 10 counts of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, conspiracy to defraud, and tax evasion.
What has he done? What has he done? You brought all these police officers to take an arrest. Yeah? Say what he has done. What has he done?
Insala na itremo mchalo. Insala full mchalo.
Bundled in an ACC open van, the embattled lawmaker, who refused to sit down, said arresting and bundling him in a vehicle at the instigation of the president will not help resolve the main problems that Zambia is currently facing.
Insala kulide mchalo. So umi tumine mwe mwewe ati. Problem ni insala, not BOWMAN. Okay. Insala ne na BOWMAN enough. No sir, no find out. Sala, you want to choose sharp here. So, Sapato sharp, push up from Walla. Instead, we have to step into the chalo. Eh? Kakapola. Mulan do one Salavan to Mchalo. Watch one direct to sharp, best of promoter, don't worry. They'll be pretty free. That's good, then stop. Over to Mine in Sala. Tekandikala hapa. Insala ubatumine mwebe omutumina tinsala. Muchalo, noti BOWMAN, ukikata BOWMAN. Ona mama ikata BOWMAN ero. Awe tafali mkwa insala kulile muchalo. Kale michusha. Nisaka mala tata kabile. Tapwa.
According to the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, Mr. Lusambo has been arrested on charges of interfering with witnesses. The embattled lawmaker, who is also former Lusaka Province Minister, is alleged to have interfered with witnesses in the alleged corruption case he is currently facing before court. The Commission has since slapped him with 3 counts of attempting to interfere with witnesses, contrary to Section 112(1)(b, as read with Section 389(1) of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. He is expected to appear in court soon on the same allegations. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Journalists operating in Zambia have called on government to enact the Access to Information Bill, which is hoped will give them advantage to operate freely. Speaking to Camden News on the sidelines of the World Press Freedom Day commemoration in Lusaka Tuesday, Nchimunyan Kandu, a journalist, however, acknowledges that the operation space is improving with hopes of becoming better. More in this report.
In any democratic country, the media is placed fourth from the 3 arms of government, being the executive, judiciary, legislature, and then the media as the 4th estate. The basic role of the media is to bridge the gap of information by sending across messages of entertainment, educational, and informing in nature. In the course of duty, the digitalization of the world, political interference, among other reasons, have placed journalists, the people charged with the responsibility of correct information dissemination, under threat. With these challenges not being addressed, others have died in the course of duty fighting for correct information dissemination. 3rd May each year is dedicated to the media, aimed at celebrating their space globally. In Zambia, journalists from various media houses turned up to celebrate their day, recognizing the gains and losses made this far under the theme Journalism Under Surveillance. News Diggers managing editor Mukosha Njenga is calling for responsible journalism in the era of social media.
The space where we are right now, with these smartphones comes also a lot of room for surveillance, where there are threats where someone can maybe hack your phone and they can be monitoring who you're talking to and putting your sources at risk, especially with the work that we do at News Diggers, where we are into investigative journalism. We try as much as possible to protect the whistleblowers who come to us, but then there's always a threat from outside because not everyone wants certain information to come to light. So that's where now the issue of surveillance comes.
The theme for me is timely. You realize that we are always being looked at as people that will help in other people giving information that will shape ideas or just basically the talk of the country. So journalism under surveillance basically calls for us to continue doing our job and ensuring that we do it to maybe the best of our capabilities. When you talk about
today's theme, actually reminds us as journalists to cast our nets wider, even as we disseminate our information away from the usual traditional media. If you look at the environment now, more people are accessing information online using various media tools. So this calls for the media to also expand in the manner they inform and disseminate information.
Particularly for a journalist who has over the years faced a lot of challenges, ranging from unconducive working environment to working conditions from respective media houses where we come from. How is this one special? It is special because we have a new government. We have an administration that in opposition promised a conducive working environment for the media.
The media operational space has been marred with conflict, especially with the political party cadres and sometimes the police. But these journalists spoken to acknowledge the significant improvement of the operating space since the United Party for National Development took office.
Given that where we are coming from, there was a lot of threats and intimidations. A lot of media houses were closed down, a lot of threats were made. But then with this new government now, I think we would be unfair if we don't mention the fact that so far, while they have been in office, I think any journalist will attest to the fact that there's this new aura of freedom that we all feel, and we are more able to enjoy our work right now.
I think that we should commend the current government is the issue to do with cadres. I think this was not the situation a few months ago, because you'd always be intimidated by the cadres, but the current regime has put their foot down to ensure that cadres are not there to harass journalists, and I'm only hoping that this will go on for many years to come. That be a bit controversial, but if we are given what we want, I think that's it. We only need to be given what we want.
And so in the new Dawn government, the operating space has been friendly, free from harassment so far, and we hope this continues.
Prudence Chota is Camnet TV senior journalist who says the enactment of the Freedom of Information Bill will further strengthen the ability for journalists to operate freely.
Imagine waking up today and there's no news. People literally have to depend on social media for news. There would be chaos in the world. Newspapers with no news, television with no news, and we tell people to rely on the news that they'll get online. There's going to be information, misinformation. There's going to be information that is not verified. This gives us a perspective of how important mainstream media is. So even as we see a lot of digitalization, as we see a lot of online platforms coming up, as we see a lot of people doing citizen journalism, that does not imply that they are doing the actual work that the journalists do. So it's high time people started appreciating the work that people do.
Lack of the access to information bill, I think this is something that the previous regime spoke about. There was intention for it to be passed. The current regime has spoken about it, but again, what is disappointing is that they're taking it back to different stakeholders for consultations. But I feel for the last 20 or so years we've been talking about this. For me, my understanding is that different issues have already been discussed.
Meanwhile, Charles Zulu is Diamond TV photojournalist, always behind the camera. This time around, he's in front of it.
Most of the times when we go out there in the field, we are not given we are not at free liberty to execute our works properly, because sometimes we get caught up in the crossfire. We'll be in the midst of cadres, violence. We are most of the times chased out because people wouldn't want, probably they would prefer not to be filmed, not allowing the journalists to do their work because they feel infringed on their rights, probably on their privacy. But the thing is, we are the fourth estate.
We continue to watch the space as we keep on offering balanced information for the public good, regardless of being under surveillance. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A woman of Lusaka's George Compound in Matero constituency has been arrested for dumping a newly born baby in a pit latrine. Emotions were high as police and officers from the Matero Fire Brigade team retrieved the dead body of the child. The residents have expressed concerns over the act of dumping the infant in the toilet, saying a woman who is a suspect and should not go unpunished.
Life in densely populated areas like George Compound in Matelo constituency is a wonders complex. It is just last week when a matter surfaced where a man was allegedly defiling his 12-year-old stepdaughter. Tuesday, 3rd May 2022, the residents of the same locality woke up to the news of a woman dumping a newly born baby in the pit latrine. The infant was retrieved by the fire brigade. Emotions were high among members of the general public. Amid the commotion, the suspect was speechless and filled with shame. She had to listen to every negative comment from her neighbors. She had to be rushed into the police vehicle to avoid being lynched by elite members of the general public. The residents wondered why the woman decided to kill the baby. Matelo constituency, Lima Ward 30 councillor Daniel Mwewa has observed with concern the moral degeneration in the community as vices continue to be the order of the day.
As a local leadership, we are so worried and we are so concerned of the happenings in Lima Ward. Just 3 days ago, brothers were fighting, one of them died. Just last week, we had a report where a 44-year-old father was sleeping with a 12-year-old stepdaughter. Just within Lima Ward. So I think as leaders, we are so worried what is happening in our community. So especially good by
broadcast time, the Zambia Police Public Relations Unit was yet to give an official position on the matter. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
That item brings us to the end of our Camnet Midday News, but before we go, let's take a look at the stories that made the headlines. The Anti-Corruption Commission rearrests BOWMAN LUSAMBO. Journalists celebrate World Press Freedom Day. Thank you for joining us on our Camnet Midday News. My name is Amazing Katamanda. Keep it locked to Camnet TV.